You may have already noticed that there's a slight problem, so far at least, with everything that we've done. And that is that you've identified when your body needs to sleep and how much sleep you need. You've identified when your most productive work times are, but that doesn't mean that anybody else knows about those things or cares. So what do you do to make sure that you actually can work during those times? For me, this comes down to calendar management, and a lot of my general philosophy and strategy for managing my time, protecting my very precious work time, but still getting a lot done comes down to calendar management. So the first thing that I would do once I recognized when I would be most productive is block my calendar. So this is if I had a day job or if I was working independently, I would say nobody can schedule a call with me during these productive times. I would just block it as busy time. And that way, I know for sure that 10 a.m. to noon, nobody's going to put a call on my calendar. They're not going to interrupt me at 11:15 with a quick check-in, and I'll be able to get a lot of work done. Of course, there are many hours in the workday, so maybe 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I could schedule for meetings or calls or something like that, or 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., or 5 to 5:30, I might open my calendar up. But for the times when I needed to be productive, I would just block my calendar so that nobody could meet with me. I always blocked my calendar for lunch. And even when I had a day job where my job was basically to be a professional meeting scheduler, I was a project manager and consultant. And so my job was to manage projects and to meet with clients and to give them status updates and figure out what the status was on their work and all that good stuff. So my job was literally to schedule meetings, and yet it was no problem for me to just block my calendar from noon to 2 p.m. or something like that so that I could make sure that I got my productive work done or I got my lunch break in, could block my calendar from 10 a.m. to noon. And as long as I had some windows open on my calendar to schedule meetings with them, then it was no problem to protect my work time and still meet my obligations to other people. Of course, as somebody who works independently, I also spend a lot of time trying to make sure that I'm not obligated to meet with other people. I try to minimize meetings. I make my meetings as short as possible, and I'm going to talk about that in a future video. But for now, I think the best way to now take what you have learned about your sleep schedule and about your productive work time is to now block your calendar so that you can actually be productive during those productive work hours. It can feel really foreign at first, but I think what you'll find is that most people won't even bat an eye because they have a lot of their calendar blocked too, but it's just for all those meetings that they pile up on there, for other things that can often be frivolous and not a good use of time. So figure out when you want to sleep, how long you need to sleep, then figure out when your most productive work hours are, and then block your calendar for those productive work hours so you can be sure that they're available to you. And of course, if you don't need to be productive that way, you might have a meeting with someone or you might go do something else during that productive time. But the first thing is to protect it because you'll notice it's not very much time. For me, during the working day, it was 10 a.m. to noon and 3 to 5 p.m. It's only 4 hours. The rest of the day could be open for other stuff like lunch or meetings, or I could answer emails, or I could brainstorm with a colleague about something, or I could whiteboard some stuff for myself, whatever that was, or I could read a book. Then I would just do that in the time that wasn't productive time. So the first thing I would do is block my calendar, make sure that productive time was protected, and then do the productive work. Or if I didn't need to be productive, I could go do other stuff. So that would be the next thing I would recommend is now that you know when you're most productive, block your calendar so that you cannot be interrupted during that productive time.